In this series, we cover beginner-friendly flies that are easy to tie and always catch fish on the river or lake. These videos are part of my one-on-one fly tying classes, so they will go into deeper detail on tools, materials, and techniques. If you're interested in a private fly tying class, reach out to me on www.beaverlakeflyfishing.com. Thanks for watching. Today we've got the bead head pheasant tail. This is one of the best nymphs to throw on any of our White River tailwaters. Start out 3761 in Tiemco. I'm using a 16 with a 2.3 millimeter tungsten bead. A lot of different bead sizes you can use and hook sizes on this, but I really like the 16. Got that brassy size copper wire. You've got your Peacock herl. I've got that strung, and then your pheasant tail, you just need a single tail. Start by throwing that hook in the vise. Remember, we're going to use our forceps here. Really small beads, it's nice to use those. It's a little bit easier to thread them on the hook. Going to start out with our threader here. Start our base of thread. Always remember, it's easiest to start your thread if you just push it up against the hook with your excess pointing down and then your wraps going over the top. Our pheasant tail, we're going to collect a few fibers, maybe like 7 or 8. Get the longest ones you can find, and I like the tips to be brown, that natural color. We're going to tie in the tips at the back or the end of the shank. Just going to catch it there. Again, it's a little easier to tie in those small fibers of any kind, pinching it in between our forefinger and thumb. We're just going to double over the rest of those fibers and basically just tie them right back in front of where we stopped for our tail. Going to tie in our copper wire here, same spot back there at the end of the shank, and then roll all the way up behind the bead. Remember, our hackle pliers are really useful here. So what we're going to do is just grab those. I like to twist these fibers together. Not everybody does this. I think it helps just make the fibers a little stronger, makes them a little bit more cohesive so that there's not a bunch of gaps in between my wraps here. We're going to wrap that dude. I like to really cut this hook shank into thirds almost, is how you kind of want to tie this fly. So let's say 2/3 of the back of the hook shank is going to be wrapped with this pheasant tail. And then we just tie it off. What we really want to have is 1/3 left for our peacock when we're done. And now we're going to secure those wraps of pheasant tail with our copper wire as our ribbing as we move up the hook shank. We're going to tie that off. Again, don't use scissors that you really like. It will dull them. Again, we're going to grab some more of that pheasant tail. What I like to do here, I'm not going to be adding, I guess, the leg section here. So we're going to cut those flush towards the front just to make them easier to tie in. And this is going to be the portion that goes over the peacock herl. So this will be the front third behind the bead. And now we will grab a couple strands of peacock herl, attach those in, same spot where our pheasant tail ended. Again, I'm going to twist these. I just think it makes it a little bit stronger and more cohesive. We're going to tightly wrap this up just behind the bead. So we tie those guys off. And now what we do is we pull that section of pheasant tail that we tied in over the top. And then we tie it in just behind the bead there. Make sure you get a couple good secure wraps. Now what I like to do here is go ahead and whip finish the fly, just finish it off. That way I know everything is wrapped in here tight before I cut my excess. So now I'll go back in and I'll cut my pheasant tail section, and then I'll cut the peacock herl. And that is the simplified version of the pheasant tail.